Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are looking at supply and demand together at last today. This is video 12. Supply and demand at work. Markets bring buyers and sellers together. The force of supply and demand, that's what sets our prices. The markets only establish their price based on what they know about what consumers are demanding and what producers are supplying. This is how we form a basis for economic decisions. A market economy. A supply and demand schedule merges together beautifully. We see price per widget. We see the quantity demanded at a higher price. The demand from the consumer is going to be low. When the price is low, the demand from the consumer is going to be high. Yes, I want tons of them at the cheapest price. I want very few at a more expensive price. Only few people are willing to pay the highest price. But the company, from the businessman's perspective, he wants to make as many as possible at the highest price because, again, his or her best goal or highest goal is to make a profit, the best profit that they can. This business person is not going to want to make many at a low price, even though the market's demanding it. That's not what they want to do. They're not going to turn that much profit at that point. We can convert this schedule, which is a graph, this schedule or table, into two supply and demand curves. They sit on the same chart, or they sit on the same graph. Remember that price is on the left, which is our y-axis, vertical, and on the horizontal on the bottom we have quantity. P's and Q's, they never change. Okay. Supply and demand at work. What does it look like? Well, a surplus is the amount by which the quantity supplied is higher than the quantity demanded. I think you guys knew that. The surplus signals that the price is too high. If there is too much of it, then people are not, the market is not willing to buy it, that willingness that we talked about. And so what producers will do is drop the price. They will not buy when the consumers will not buy all of that. In a competitive market, a surplus will not last. So like I said, the sellers will lower that price to decrease the surplus. We're going to suppose that the widget, whatever the item is that you want to imagine, that you would buy or you would sell, that you're interested in, we're going to suppose that it's at $4. Right here, comes across. Now what we're going to do is look at the quantity demanded. Quantity demanded at this point, I have to find my demand. What is demanded here is my demand line, the orange. And I see on my demand line that at $4, 4 widgets are demanded. On the supply line, which goes up and away, I see that it intersects $4 at 8, a quantity of 8. So I have a supply of 8. I have a demand of 4. The difference between 8 and 4 is 4. So that my surplus is 4 widgets. I have 4 widgets too many. That's how many will be left on the shelf or will not be purchased. In the other way, a shortage is the amount by which the quantity demanded is higher than the quantity supplied. Shortage signals that the price is too low, and at that price, suppliers are not willing to supply all of the product that consumers are willing to buy. It's not going to be worth the supplier if they're not going to turn the profit. They're not going to sell them all for a lower price, or they will end up going out of business. And in a competitive market, the shortage will not last because the sellers will raise their price. So now we're going to imagine that it's $2 down here. I'm going to find this on my supply. How many are supplied? I've got my up, and away. Here's my supply, up, and away curve. And I see that at $2, 4 widgets are supplied. How many are demanded? I find my demand line. Come on down. They're demanding 8. In this case, I have a shortage of 4, okay? 4 widgets are being asked for, and I am not willing to produce. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, as the supplier, I am going to raise the price. Okay, supply and demand at work. When operating without restriction, our market economy eliminates shortages and surpluses on its own. Over time, a surplus forces the price down, and a shortage forces the price up until we find a balancing point, and that balancing point is called the equilibrium price. At this price, there exists neither a surplus nor a shortage. Once the market price reaches equilibrium, it tends to stay there until supply or demand changes. And when that happens, a temporary surplus or shortage will occur. Price adjusts to reach a new equilibrium price. You can think about this with as demand changes in and out of the holiday season. So there's a lot of shopping going on right before, right between Thanksgiving and the holidays in December. And so a lot of shopping and things. So if there is a higher demand for an item, you might find prices to be more expensive around that time, especially if there's a new release in November of a new electronic system, a gaming system, or a game itself. If the producers know that it is going to be in high demand, it's much anticipated, there's a lot of conversation in the media about this new upcoming game, then suppliers might intentionally or unintentionally not have enough of the supply of this game or gaming system. When that happens, that means that they can set a higher price because it will be there will be a scarcity of it, or it will be a shortage of the item. Then what they can do is they can ask for a higher price, and they do just that. It will come back and reach its equilibrium point for that game in a few months once they're able to make more of it over a period of time. Also, maybe people are not so excited about it once the novelty wears off of the game, or as people are able to purchase it. And then you may find by May or June, the price of the game or the gaming system that was all the rage in December has now dropped in price because there will be less demand. Okay, so let's look at it for where we find equilibrium. So we're going to suppose that the market price is 3 here, reaches across. Quantity supplied will be 6 widgets, right? The quantity supplied here is 6 widgets, and the quantity demanded is 6 widgets. That means that there is no surplus and no shortage. That's the equilibrium price. All right, so now I'm going to switch out of this, and we're going to look at some examples. Switch over here. And we'll do this tomorrow too, which is pretty cool. This is an interesting piece here, so we can kind of identify different scenarios. Let's imagine that we're talking about the price for we call it crude oil, but our gasoline, what we pay for gas in the car. Okay, so let's say that we have been doing some fracking or offshore drilling, and so the United States comes into a bit of extra supply, so our supply is going to increase, the entire thing will increase, and the price of gas will drop. We're going to see this drop. We might get in an opposite sort of situation to see the price of gas increase due to supply. We might see that maybe there is a limited supply because we are at war with some of our countries. We might find ourselves into a war in the Middle East or in even a conflict, and so this has changed the trade situation. So we're going to see the supply shift to the left. When that supply curve shifts to the left, then we're going to see prices drive up. That seems obvious there. I know you guys know that one. Demand. We demand more gasoline in the summertime. People are out driving, they're going on vacation. We always use more gasoline in the summertime. We see prices go up even slightly, but we see demand increase, and so the price will go up in the summer. Conversely, obviously I could say the winter, which would be easy and you guys would anticipate that, but you might also think about the price for hybrid cars, which is a complementary good with gasoline, in that if the price of hybrid cars goes down, more people are going to buy hybrid cars, and when you buy a hybrid car, you use less gas, so there's less demand for gasoline. See how I got there? And now we have a lower price. You can have a little bit of both too. It might be summertime, so we're demanding more gasoline, but we may have also come into a greater supply, and so the price might actually stay the same, but we've had two shifts in our curves. All right, we'll play with this more tomorrow in class and take a look at the supply and demand curves when they are on the same graph. Make sure that you have your vocab done through video 12 now, supply and demand. Your next video, video 13, you can check its due date on Canvas. Thanks for watching, guys.